So this is my portfolio.
You have to click on it first with the mouse and then the arrows work.
So basically, that's the
Okay, guys, pay attention.
that's the identity wheel that I did. So basically, the one that I connected with the most was like race. And I said when like Sierra, when we were reading Shadow Shapers, how like she struggled with like her race and how like it was one time where, like her friends didn't believe like what she was and like all her struggles was because of her complexion, like her skin color, all of that. I feel like Hispanic people and then Black people and white people, like in general, anybody that has a race is like judged in a way, and I feel like we all been through that. So I connected to that because at some point you're always going to face racism or judgment. Like at some point you're going to face that. But like I said, like what I saw in Sierra, it was that her race didn't stop her from doing what she wanted to do and chasing her dreams and chasing what she wanted to do. And I feel like that should be for everybody. Like don't let anything get to you and what you want to do in life because it shouldn't. At the end of the day, it's not for people, it's for yourself that you're gonna do it. So you should always be proud of who you are and where you come from, and whatever you do, always be proud and don't let nobody's opinion get to you. Another thing was my ethnicity. My mom's side, we're from Ecuador, and then my dad's side is Colombian. So it's a very common name for grandmas and grandparents to say Nika or Nico to their kids or grandchildren or whatever. And then I often saw how like Sierra's grandmother was calling her that. I connected to that because up to this day, my grandma still calls me that, or my mom or my dad. So that's another thing I said, and it just shows my identity and race and ethnicity. Another thing was my religion. I've been a Christian, and when we were reading Parable of the Sower, Lauren, she had like mixed emotions about whether she wanted to believe God or not, but she actually like wanted to create her own religion. And so I feel like back then, like back in the day when I was younger, I would go to church, but I wouldn't really like know what it meant for me. Like I would just go because my parents would go. I would just be there. But 5 years ago, I actually like heard like this one preach, and like it got stuck to me in a way that I actually like started focusing more about like God. And for me, it's not really a religion. It's more of like for me a spiritual thing, like a connection that I have with God, like a bond that I make, just like I have a bond with like my friends. I feel like that's how it is. I don't like to name it religion or Catholics or Christians or whatever it is. I really don't like to say that. I just feel like as long as you make a relationship with God and you do His will for your life, that's all that matters to Him. And so I connected to that because, and I also like seeing other people having different perspectives of God, like Lauren. It also made me think like it's not only me. It wasn't only me doubting my faith at one point. It was other people too. So that's how I connected my identity with my religion. The ELA skill that was most challenging for me while I was reading Macbeth was the skills, finding the skills and like labeling them and like saying like how I used the skill for it. And then, or like I would do it and I would get it wrong. Like for Act 2, I wrote something, but it wasn't a simile, and then Ms. Ramirez said it wasn't. So I was struggling with that. I always left it at the last so I could actually like see what I could do with it. Intellect. I wrote in the Macbeth Act 4, I said we should always be determined in what we want to do. While I was reading this like play, I feel like everybody was chasing what they wanted to do in a way. And like some characters, they did it in the wrong way, some others did it in a good way. And I feel like we should always go after what we want to do in life, but remember that it's not only about you, and you shouldn't be selfish because the road that you take can hurt other people that are around you. So whatever you choose to do in life, always make sure that the people around you are okay and they're not getting hurt by your decisions. So I said most of the characters in this play were always going after what they wanted. They never gave up until their last breath, and some were successful. And I realized how important it is to be determined in your decisions. So always be determined in what you want to do. For criticality, I feel like I think my last portfolio I was struggling with this, but when I was going to play for Macbeth, I was like doing this first because like I knew who had power, who had equity, who was feeling oppressed, all of that, and it just made me realize that you can have a lot of power over people, and it could be a really bad, in a good and a bad way, but most of the time it could be a bad way, like Lady Macbeth, like how she was. I wrote the boldness of that Lady Macbeth has in showing power over the guards. And then for oppression, I was like the helplessness he felt when when he killed Duncan. Like throughout the whole journey, he felt guilty of it. So he felt oppressed by that. And then for equity, I said this shows that Macbeth did that when Macbeth did, he realized that it wasn't an equity act. It was when he killed Duncan. So just make sure that you don't do certain things that can hurt people, and if you do have power, don't use it in the wrong way. Okay, so the assignment that I'm most proud of is my portfolio March. I got a 700 out of 700, which made me proud and just made me feel like I actually tried, and all the time that I put into all the effort that I did was worth it at the end of the day. I realized that looking back at the assignments and reading Ms. Ramirez's feedback helps you a lot in what changes you need to do for your other assignments. So thank you for that. Hopefully my next English teacher does the same thing because it was really helpful. And then like I said in my previous portfolio, like looking at my notes as something that I could just go out and write things down and just feel free and express myself was also something that helped me out. And that's why I feel like I did good on my notes. The one that needs most improvement are like, I feel like y'all show with PBAs, like it was when it came to like Mr. Mayor saying, oh, we're gonna have a PBA, always be stressing out, be like, what am I gonna write for the claim, what am I gonna do? And that was me, like I'll always procrastinate about PBAs, but I gotta be, I'm not saying it's a bad grade, but for me, I just feel like I could have done better. And I struggled with like the justification parts and like the evidence. It was just really hard for me. I was really confused on what to do. And hopefully I can master that next year and do better on my PBAs. What helps me learn in this class? Throughout the school year, the things that helped me in the class were reading the textbooks that I can connect to in my life, picturing my notes as a way of expressing my feelings, my thoughts, and also choosing to stay committed to doing my work and staying on top of my work. Because I feel like once you do that, you feel proud of yourself and it motivates you to keep doing it and doing it, not only in this class, but every class you have. And not to give up. Like you might see a grade drop down, but don't give up. You know, there's always something extra credit or something that can bump you up. And the fishbowl sections, like answering my questions, like Alex said, it was really helpful for me. I feel like I could hear other people's perspective and my perspectives and like connect it and then figure it out. And it also helped me for my PBAs too. Like I would ask questions that I would want to write on my PBA, so something that helped me. My before and then the after portfolio. I improved my thinking and added more specific details to my new cover letter. I also got an A on my portfolio, this portfolio that I did. And I just feel like I said, reading, going back and looking at the first portfolio, the second one, and this one, and just trying to see what I could do better, make changes, it was really helpful. And reading the feedback, like the feedback is something that you need to read. So goals for sophomore year, I said I will only allow myself. I said this, I will only allow myself because I feel like if I go back to like I remember first day of school, we all had. I don't know if you guys had it, but in like first hour, my second hour, we had a paper and we had to write down our goals. And I would be like, I want to get A's, I want to get D's. But I feel like me saying I will only allow myself, it's like getting my mind to know that I'm only allowing myself to get certain things. That's why I said that. So hopefully I can only get A's and B's in all my assignments and I'll be passing grades. Stay consistent and turn everything on time. I struggle with this one. I would always be making stuff like Mr. Mears would be like, oh, let's do Friday, and then it was Monday, so I'd be like, okay, well, I'm just gonna do it Thursday or the last minute. But it wasn't like that. I should have never done that. I should have actually done the day that she said. Because then when it gets to Friday, I was just stressing out, having a bad day over here, procrastinating, and it just ruined my whole day. So hopefully I can stay consistent and turn everything on time. And I'll try my best to get all A's in my assessments and essays. I want to improve my essays. I feel like writing is so important in your life, in your high school, like in the career that you're going to choose. Writing is just very important for you. So I said I could have done better this year, but I tried my best, and I'll take my first high school year as a lesson to not make the same mistakes as my following high school years. So I feel like we all learned something from this school year, and I hope that you guys all take something from this class or your other classes that will help you in the future to not make the same mistakes. And then something that I learned about myself was that if I can believe it, I can achieve it. If I set goals for myself and I choose to stay consistent and be determined, then I can do it, and you guys can also do it. So far, I've learned that if you want to get better at writing, you need to practice every day. You need to write, and that's why now I understand why Mr. Ramirez gave us daily notes. Like, I know at some point we always we would be like, Mr. Ramirez, like, oh my gosh, daily notes every day after reading books. But I feel like it was very helpful for me. Like, personally, it helped my writing so much, and I just improved my writing so much. So you need practice for everything, not only writing. I've also learned that there are many outside world life connections that you can make while you're reading books or while you meet new people. Trusting the process is important because Be patient, and you will see a good outcome. And yes, that's my portfolio. And I wanted to say, telling you guys, thank you for the school year. Thank you for making it a good school year. Thank you, Mr. Ramirez, for everything, for the daily notes. It might have been a little bit of a struggle for all of us back in the day. It helped me personally with my writing. Like, it helped me so much with my writing and everything. So thank y'all, and I hope you have a great summer.
Thank you. Round of applause. Round of applause. Close and grows real quick. Close and grows. Go ahead, baby.